The Galactic Empire, a massive and powerful alliance of alien species, had conquered dozens of planets across the galaxy. Their empire was vast, their technology advanced beyond comprehension, and their military strength was unmatched. In their eyes, they were the true rulers of the universe, and no species was even close to being a threat. They looked at other civilizations with arrogance, viewing them as inferior and easily controlled. One such species they looked down upon was humanity. On one of the most advanced planets in the Empire, located light years from Earth, the Empire's ruling council gathered in their grand chamber. The alien leaders of various species, each one unique and formidable in its own way, sat at a long, sleek table made of glowing metal. The air around them hummed with the power of their technology, and the walls shimmered with holographic images of their expanding empire. The council meeting was focused on one topic: Earth, a small, insignificant planet inhabited by a primitive species known as humans. To the Empire, Earth was nothing more than a curiosity, a backwater planet with no real value. The humans had been ignored for centuries, their planet a speck in the grand scheme of the galaxy. It was no secret that the Galactic Empire had many plans for expansion, and Earth was not even on their radar as a potential threat. The Empire had conquered entire civilizations far more advanced than the humans of Earth, so the idea of Earth posing any real danger was laughable. One of the council members, a towering alien with glowing purple skin and a long, tendril-like beard, spoke with a smug tone. "These humans," he sneered, "are still using primitive weapons, barely able to leave their own atmosphere. Their technology is laughable. How could they ever stand against the might of our empire?" He paused for a moment, a wicked smile spreading across his face. "We could crush them with a single fleet. No problem." Another council member, a sleek, silver-skinned alien with a mind like a calculating machine, scoffed. "Indeed. We've studied them. Their weapons are weak, their ships outdated, and their resources limited. They are no match for our superiority." She flicked a finger toward a hologram of Earth's orbit, showing a few scattered human satellites and their small, inefficient ships. "Their defense systems are a joke. Why even bother with them?" The rest of the council members nodded in agreement. They were all in unanimous consensus: the humans were nothing but an insignificant, primitive species with no place in the galaxy. The meeting was filled with laughter as they continued to mock Earth's pathetic technology. But just as they were about to dismiss the humans entirely, something unusual happened. A sudden, harsh static noise interrupted the meeting, causing everyone in the room to freeze. The holograms flickered, and the bright lights above the council table dimmed for a moment. The air seemed to grow still, and an ominous feeling settled over the chamber. The council members exchanged confused glances. "Report," ordered the council leader, a creature with 6 eyes and a commanding presence. A nearby technician quickly moved to the console, fingers flying over the holographic interface. "It's a transmission," the technician said, voice trembling. "Coming from Earth." A murmur of disbelief rippled through the council. "Earth? A transmission from that insignificant planet? Impossible." The technician continued to analyze the signal, his eyes widening as he processed the data. "It's encrypted," he said slowly, "but there are strange symbols. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before." The tension in the room grew thick. What was this? A prank? A hoax? Perhaps a signal from some long-lost human ship, a relic of their past. The council members were skeptical, but the transmission continued. It wasn't just static or random noise, it was deliberate. It was structured. The technician worked furiously to decrypt the message, his fingers moving at a rapid pace. The symbols on the screen shifted and changed, a complex code that no one had ever seen before. It took only a few minutes, but to the council, it felt like an eternity. The chamber fell into silence, the only sound being the rhythmic tapping of the technician's fingers. Then, as the final sequence of symbols was cracked, the screen flashed brightly, revealing blueprints, a set of intricate designs that made no sense to anyone in the room. But as the pieces came together, it became clear that these were no ordinary blueprints. These were weapons more advanced than anything the Galactic Empire had ever encountered. A stunned silence filled the room. The designs were nothing short of revolutionary, a mix of technology and energy manipulation that seemed far beyond the capabilities of any species the Empire had encountered. The blueprint displayed ships, weapons, and energy sources that could obliterate entire fleets with a single shot. Even more shocking was the fact that the technology was human-made, designed and constructed by the very species the Empire had dismissed as primitive. The council leader's eyes narrowed. "This can't be real," he muttered, stepping forward and leaning closer to the holographic image. "How could humans possess such technology? It defies all logic." The technician who had decrypted the message looked pale, clearly shaken. It's from Earth. This signal is from their homeworld. It's real." A murmur of disbelief ran through the room as the council members processed what they were seeing. For the first time, they were faced with the reality that they had greatly underestimated humanity. How had these primitive humans developed technology that could rival, no, surpass, the Empire's own? It was an enigma, a mystery that needed to be unraveled. The council leader straightened, his commanding voice ringing out. "Prepare an expedition," he ordered. "We will investigate this anomaly immediately. The humans must be eliminated before their technology becomes a threat to the Empire." But just as they were about to finalize their plans, something strange occurred. The transmission abruptly cut off. The signal vanished, leaving nothing but empty static on the screen. "Damn it," the technician cursed. "The signal, it's gone." The room erupted in confusion as the council members exchanged panicked glances. They had no idea where the transmission had originated from, or how it had suddenly disappeared. It was as if the humans knew they were being watched and intentionally cut off the transmission before it could be traced. "Track it down," the council leader ordered, his tone darkening. "We must find the source of this message." But no matter how much the Empire searched, no further traces could be found. The humans had somehow hidden their tracks, making it impossible for the Empire to locate the origin of the transmission. It was as if Earth had vanished from the radar entirely. The Empire, now in a state of heightened alert, quickly began preparations for a full-scale expedition to investigate Earth. They were determined to uncover the mystery behind the message and put an end to the threat. But what they didn't know was that they were walking right into a trap. The humans were ready. The primitive species, the one the Galactic Empire had underestimated, was about to turn the tables. And when the Empire arrived, they would find themselves facing an enemy unlike anything they had ever imagined. The Council had made a fatal mistake, one that would change the course of galactic history forever. In a secret underground facility, hidden deep beneath the surface of Earth, a team of scientists worked tirelessly under the leadership of Dr. Ethan Cole, a brilliant engineer with a haunting past. For years, he had dedicated his life to a singular mission, to protect Earth from the looming threat of the Galactic Empire. But this was no ordinary mission. This was personal. The room was dimly lit by the glow of holographic monitors, casting eerie shadows on the faces of the team members as they studied the blueprint. These were the very blueprints they had received in the mysterious transmission, blueprints for a weapon so advanced that it could change the course of the galaxy. And for the first time, humanity was holding the keys to their own survival. Dr. Cole stood at the center of the lab, his piercing blue eyes fixed on the holographic projection of the weapon's design. His fingers tapped lightly on the table, his mind racing as he considered the implications of what they were about to do. The weapon, a small energy device, was capable of disabling entire fleets of warships with a single pulse. It was the key to protecting Earth and everything he held dear. But it wasn't just the weapon itself that kept him awake at night. It was the memories of the past. The memories of his family, lost in the brutal alien invasion years ago. He could still hear the screams, still see the burning cities, and feel the helplessness that had consumed him in that moment. He had vowed that no one would ever suffer as he had. Earth would not fall to these invaders. Not on his watch. The team had come together under difficult circumstances. Some were reluctant to join, skeptical of Dr. Cole's mission. They had all heard the stories of the alien threat, of the overwhelming power of the Galactic Empire, but they couldn't fully grasp the danger until they saw the weapon for themselves. But as the years passed, and they witnessed Dr. Cole's unwavering dedication, they began to understand. They began to trust him. Dr. Cole wasn't just a leader to them, he was a symbol of hope. His personal tragedy had shaped him into a man on a mission, a man who would stop at nothing to protect humanity. And as his team continued to work alongside him, they couldn't help but be inspired by his determination. The emotional stakes were high for them all. Each member of the team had their own reasons for fighting, whether it was the loss of loved ones, a deep sense of duty, or the desire to make a difference. But they all shared one common goal, to ensure that Earth would survive. The prototype weapon, which had been under development for years, was now ready for its first test. It was a moment that had been long anticipated. The team gathered around the testing chamber, their hearts pounding with anticipation. Dr. Cole stood at the front, staring at the small energy device in his hand, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. This wasn't just a test. This was a statement. It was humanity's declaration that they would not be crushed by the Galactic Empire. "Ready, Dr. Cole," said Mia, a young scientist and one of Dr. Cole's most trusted allies. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed the nervousness she felt. "Activate the prototype," Dr. Cole ordered, his voice calm but firm. The room fell silent as Mia pressed a button on the console. The device began to hum with power, its core glowing a bright, pulsating blue. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sudden burst of energy, a powerful shockwave emanated from the device, sending a ripple through the room. The monitors flickered as the energy pulse reached its maximum potential. The force was enough to shake the very foundation of the lab. As the energy dissipated, the team looked around in awe. The weapon had worked, flawlessly. The screens in front of them displayed the test results. The energy pulse had successfully disabled an entire fleet of simulated warships. The weapon had the potential to take down the Empire's most powerful forces. The power in their hands was unimaginable. But before they could fully celebrate their success, the lab's security system buzzed with an incoming transmission. Dar. Cole's heart sank as the screen flickered to life, revealing a simple message. "They're coming." The words sent a chill through the room. The team had known this day would come, the Empire was coming. They hadn't been able to stop it, despite their best efforts. The Galactic Empire had finally discovered Earth, and their massive fleet was on its way. Dr. Cole's mind raced. "We need to prepare," he said, his voice grim. "Activate the defense systems. Get the weapon ready for deployment. We don't have much time." The team scrambled to action, the urgency of the situation setting in. The small underground facility, which had been their sanctuary for so long, now felt like a ticking time bomb. Dr. Cole knew that this wasn't just about testing a weapon. It was about survival. Earth was about to face the full wrath of the Galactic Empire, and they would have only one chance to defend themselves. As the team worked furiously to activate the weapon and prepare their defenses, Dr. Cole's thoughts drifted back to his family. He could almost hear his wife's voice, telling him that everything would be okay. He could see his children, their faces bright with innocence, before the invasion tore their lives apart. He had failed them once, but he wasn't going to fail again. This time, he would protect Earth. "Dr. Cole," Mia called, her voice trembling. "We've detected them. They're here." Dr. Cole turned to the screen, and his breath caught in his throat. The sky above Earth was darkening as massive ships appeared on the horizon, ships the likes of which they had never seen before. The alien fleet was descending on Earth, and there was no turning back. The Empire had come, and humanity was about to face its greatest test. Dr. Cole watched, his heart heavy with the weight of the moment, as the dark silhouettes of the alien warships filled the sky. The sight was overwhelming, and for the briefest moment, a wave of doubt washed over him. Was their weapon enough? Would it be enough to protect the planet? But there was no time for doubt. There was no time for hesitation. Dr. Cole looked at his team, their faces a mixture of fear and determination. They were ready. They had to be. He turned to Mia and gave a single nod. Prepare to launch. And as the first alien ship entered Earth's atmosphere, the fate of humanity hung in the balance. Dr. Cole knew that this was the moment they had been preparing for. This was the moment they would fight for their survival, for their future, and for the future of the Earth. The battle had begun, the sky above Earth darkened as the Galactic Empire's massive fleet entered orbit, its imposing warships emerging from the cloak of invisibility that had concealed them for so long. The aliens believed this would be another easy conquest, just like the countless worlds they had dominated before. They had underestimated humanity, again. The alien commanders, their cold, calculating minds confident in their superiority, watched from their flagship as hundreds of robotic soldiers were deployed to Earth's surface. These robots were designed for efficiency, precision, and overwhelming force. The humans, in their eyes, were nothing more than primitive creatures with no chance of survival. But they didn't account for one thing: Earth had prepared. Deep beneath the surface, in the secret underground facility where Dr. Ethan Cole and his team worked, the moment of truth had arrived. The blueprints they had developed were about to be tested in real combat. The energy shield generators were primed, anti-cloaking devices powered up, and drones equipped with advanced weaponry stood ready for deployment. As Dr. Cole stood at the command center, watching the enemy fleet on the screens, his heart raced. This wasn't just about technology anymore, it was about the survival of everything he loved. He glanced at his team, all of whom were focused on their tasks with steely determination. There was no room for fear. The aliens may have been superior in numbers and advanced technology, but humanity had something the Galactic Empire didn't: courage and the will to fight for their survival. The first strike came in the form of robotic soldiers descending onto Earth. They were swift, efficient, and merciless, cutting through Earth's defenses with alarming speed. The world's cities, already on high alert, erupted in chaos as the robotic invaders made their way to the surface. Buildings crumbled, fires broke out, and people fled for their lives. But just as the robots were about to engage in full-scale destruction, Earth's defenses came online. Energy shields flickered to life around key locations, glowing a bright blue, holding back the destructive power of the robotic onslaught. The shields were designed to withstand the Empire's weapons, and they worked. For the first time in the history of the Galactic Empire, the invaders encountered a defense that actually held them back. "Deploy the drones," Dr. Cole ordered, his voice firm but filled with urgency. The sky above Earth suddenly lit up with the launch of hundreds of drones, their sleek forms cutting through the atmosphere with precision. These were no ordinary drones. They were equipped with high-powered laser cannons, anti-gravitational tech, and the most advanced targeting systems on the planet. The drones swarmed around the alien warships, attacking in waves, their weapons disorienting the invaders. The first shots were fired, bright, blistering beams of energy that struck alien warships, sending shockwaves through their hulls. The warships were powerful, but the humans had designed their drones to target weak points, exploiting vulnerabilities the aliens hadn't anticipated. Explosions erupted across the alien fleet as the drones rained fire down upon their enemies, leaving trails of smoke and debris in their wake. Meanwhile, Earth's forces had deployed their anti-cloaking devices, effectively rendering the Empire's invisible ships visible for the first time. The sight of the once-hidden fleet now revealed in the sky above was a sight to behold: massive ships, black as the void, slowly being picked off one by the relentless barrage from Earth's counterattack. Dr. Cole watched the unfolding battle with a mix of awe and disbelief. It was working. The alien fleet, despite its technological superiority, was being forced to retreat. Earth had caught them off guard. The humans had outsmarted them, using tactics and strategies that the Empire had never even considered. It wasn't just about raw power, it was about resourcefulness, about fighting smarter. As the battle raged on, Earth's forces pushed the invaders back into orbit, and the robotic soldiers on the ground began to falter. But the aliens weren't going to give up so easily. The Galactic Empire's pride wouldn't allow them to lose to a primitive species. Just as Earth's forces began to breathe a sigh of relief, the alien warships retaliated with a powerful counterstrike. In an instant, the skies above Earth were lit up with the brutal flash of enemy weapons. The aliens fired their most powerful weapons, targeting major cities across the planet. As Dr. Cole watched from the command center, he felt his stomach drop. A massive energy pulse struck the capital city, the blast echoing across the globe. The shockwave rippled through the ground, and a deafening explosion tore through the skyline. The capital city, once a symbol of hope and strength for humanity, was now a burning ruin. Buildings collapsed in on themselves, fires consumed everything in their path, and the screams of the innocent echoed through the air. The destruction was unimaginable. Dr. Cole clenched his fists, his knuckles turning white. He could feel the weight of the loss. Thousands, perhaps millions, of lives had been lost in an instant. But it wasn't just the lives that had been lost that tore at him. It was the knowledge that the aliens, despite their retreat, had left behind a devastating blow. They had shown the humans just how much power they wielded. The fear, the doubt, that they had fought so hard to push aside, suddenly came rushing back. The battle was far from over, but for the first time since the attack had begun, Dr. Cole allowed himself a moment of reflection. He thought of his family, of the past, of the pain he had endured. The Galactic Empire had taken everything from him once before. He wouldn't let them do it again. "We will not fall," Dr. Cole said quietly, his voice steady with determination. "Not this time." His words were more than a promise, they were a vow. Earth's battle had only just begun, and the humans, though devastated by the loss, had learned one critical lesson. They were not weak. They were not helpless. They had weapons. They had strategy. And most importantly, they had a reason to fight. The battle would continue. But this time, the Empire would know that humanity was no longer an afterthought. The Empire would face an Earth that was ready. And this time, humanity would not go down without a fight. As Dr. Cole looked out over the devastation, he knew that the stakes had never been higher. But he also knew one thing: they couldn't afford to lose. The cost of defeat was far too great. And so, with fire in his heart and a vow to protect Earth, Dr. Cole prepared for the next battle. The first clash had ended, but the war was far from over. The Galactic Empire was furious. The humiliating defeat they had suffered at the hands of humans had ignited a rage so intense that it could not be ignored. Their pride had been wounded, and in the cold, calculating hearts of the alien commanders, there was only one solution: complete annihilation. In the vastness of space, the Empire's most powerful warships, vessels of unimaginable destruction, emerged from the shadows, their dark silhouettes gleaming under the light of distant stars. The fleet was far larger this time, and this time, they weren't planning to hold back. The Empire had learned from its mistakes. They were ready to crush the humans once and for all. Earth's defenses had barely managed to hold off the first wave. Dr. Ethan Cole and his team knew that the aliens would return, and when they did, they would be even more ruthless. But they were also ready. Earth's survival depended on the technology Dr. Cole's team had developed and their sheer will to fight. The stakes had never been higher. Dr. Cole stood at the command center, his face tense with determination. His eyes were bloodshot from sleepless nights spent working to perfect their weapons. There was no room for failure. He looked at his team, all of them weary, their faces grim. They had done what they could to prepare, but they knew it wouldn't be enough unless they kept pushing forward. "We're almost out of time," Dr. Cole muttered, more to himself than anyone else. Beside him, his closest friend and right-hand man, Bonner, stood silently. Bonner had been with him through every stage of the project. They had shared the long hours of planning, the sleepless nights, and the heavy burden of responsibility. Bonner was not just a colleague, he was family. As Dr. Cole turned to Bonner, he saw the same resolve in his friend's eyes. But he also saw something else. Bonner knew what was coming. The enemy fleet was on the horizon, and they were outnumbered. The humans' resources were dwindling. There wasn't much left to fight with. Bonner stepped forward, his voice steady but carrying the weight of years of friendship and sacrifice. "Cole," he began, "I know what you're thinking. You don't want to lose anyone else. But sometimes, we don't have a choice. If I can buy you just a little more time, then it's worth it." Dr. Cole's heart sank. He knew Bonner was right. The situation was dire. But the thought of losing his friend, the one person who had been there for him through everything, was almost too much to bear. Still, he didn't say anything. He couldn't. They didn't have the luxury of words anymore. They only had time. Bonner smiled faintly, his eyes filled with a quiet resolve. "Make it count, Ethan. Make it count for everyone." With a final glance at Dr. Cole, Bonner turned and walked away. He knew what he had to do. The Empire's fleet arrived faster than expected, as the massive warships descended upon Earth's atmosphere. The sky above was once again darkened, filled with ships of unimaginable power. The Galactic Empire believed that Earth's resistance was a joke. They thought they could obliterate the humans with ease. What they didn't know was that humanity wasn't done fighting yet. Dr. Cole and his team raced to activate their last hope, the superweapon. It had been months in the making, a device capable of disrupting the Empire's cloaking technology. It was their best chance to level the playing field. Once activated, it would expose the alien fleet, making them vulnerable to Earth's weapons. The only problem was that they didn't have much time left. As Dr. Cole watched the fleet approach, he knew that this would be the final battle. He couldn't afford to make any mistakes. He ordered the activation of the superweapon, praying that it would work. The device hummed to life, sending out a pulse of energy that rippled through the atmosphere. The alien warships, cloaked in invisibility, suddenly became visible, their massive forms looming in the sky. The humans had done it. They had exposed the enemy. A deafening roar filled the air as Earth's forces launched their counterattack. The sky was ablaze with energy blasts, each one sending shockwaves through the alien fleet. The Empire's warships fired back, their weapons tearing through Earth's defenses, but the humans were relentless. They fought with a passion that only comes from desperation, and their pure will to survive seemed to push them beyond their limits. Drones swarmed the alien ships, darting around them with incredible speed. Energy shields flared as the alien beams struck, but they weren't enough to stop the onslaught. Humans, using everything at their disposal, energy cannons, laser-guided missiles, and fighter jets, poured everything they had into the invaders. The battle was fierce, and explosions filled the sky. It was a war like no other, a battle between humanity's last hope and an empire that had crushed so many worlds before. Despite the odds, Earth's forces were pushing the empire back. The alien warships were taking hits, their once imposing hulls now riddled with damage. But the Empire's fleet wasn't ready to give up yet. The aliens began their final assault, an overwhelming attack that sent waves of destruction toward Earth. The clash continued for hours, with each side refusing to yield. The warships fired their deadly weapons, and the Earth's forces retaliated with everything they had. But as the battle raged on, something shifted. The Empire was retreating, but not without a final blow. They had one last weapon in reserve, a weapon that could wipe out Earth's remaining defenses. Just as Dr. Cole breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that Earth might survive this after all, a terrifying new threat appeared. The Empire had launched its final offensive, a weapon so powerful that it could destroy the planet. The countdown had begun. Dr. Cole stood frozen, his heart racing. He realized the truth in that moment: the ultimate weapon, the one they had hoped to never use, would have to be deployed. If they didn't act fast, the Earth would be lost. The reality of the situation hit him like a punch to the gut. Everything had led to this. Bonner's sacrifice, the lives lost, the sacrifices made, all of it had been building up to this final moment. Dr. Cole knew there was no turning back now. It was all or nothing. He turned to his team, the look in his eyes saying everything that words could not. The ultimate weapon had to be used. And he was the one who would lead the charge. The fate of Earth now hung in the balance. The alien invasion had already taken a heavy toll on humanity, but despite the destruction, the humans were still fighting. Dr. Ethan Cole, the brilliant engineer who had led Earth's scientific resistance, stood in the control room of their last remaining warship. The atmosphere was heavy with tension as he looked at the screens showing the alien fleet closing in. Earth's forces were down to a handful of ships, their technology and resources stretched thin. Only one option remained: deploy the ultimate weapon, a device capable of disabling the entire alien fleet in a single, devastating strike. This was their last chance, the final gamble. If they failed, Earth would fall, and humanity would be no more. But if they succeeded, they would not only save their home but strike a blow for all oppressed worlds in the galaxy. Dr. Cole knew the stakes. He had seen countless friends and allies fall in the battle. He had watched cities burn, their ruins now scattered across the planet's surface. But despite the overwhelming odds, he held on to a single truth: humans were resourceful. They could adapt. They could survive. They could win. Prepare the weapon, Dr. Cole ordered, his voice steady despite the pressure. The weapon was a masterpiece of human ingenuity, a device that could disrupt the alien fleet's power grid and disable their ships in one powerful blast. But it wasn't just the weapon they had to rely on. It was human creativity, the ability to think and adapt under pressure. That's what would give them the edge over the Empire's advanced technology. The weapon was locked into place, and the crew scrambled to set it up. They didn't have much time. The Empire's fleet was getting closer, and with every passing second, the threat of total annihilation grew more real. The countdown to launch began, and all eyes were on Dr. Cole. This was his moment. But there was another force at play, a force that had been lurking in the background all this time. The Empire's most fearsome weapon was a massive AI-controlled super warship, a machine of destruction so powerful that no fleet in the galaxy could stand against it. The AI had been designed to adapt and learn, making it nearly invincible. It had obliterated entire civilizations in the past, and now it was coming for Earth. Dr. Cole knew that taking down this warship was essential. If they could destroy it, the rest of the fleet would crumble. But the AI was no ordinary opponent. It wasn't just a machine, it was a cold, calculating entity with no compassion, no mercy. It was the embodiment of everything that humanity fought against. As Dr. Cole and his team prepared to launch the final weapon, the massive AI super warship appeared on the edge of their sensors. It loomed in space like a predator, ready to pounce. Its sleek, menacing form was unlike any ship they had ever seen. The AI was watching, calculating every possible move, ready to strike. But the humans had something the AI didn't: the ability to outthink it, to use their creativity and passion to overcome the odds. "We need to outsmart it," Dr. Cole said, his voice filled with resolve. "This machine thinks it has already won. But it doesn't understand the power of human ingenuity. We can beat it." The crew nodded, their faces set with determination. They knew what needed to be done. It wasn't just about raw power, it was about using every bit of knowledge and creativity they had to exploit the weaknesses in the AI's logic. Dr. Cole and his team had spent years studying the AI's behavior, and they knew one crucial thing: the AI was predictable, bound by the algorithms it was designed to follow. If they could disrupt its logic, they could destroy it. The humans piloted their warships into the heart of the enemy fleet, their ships darting and weaving between the massive alien vessels. The AI-controlled superwarship loomed ahead, its weapons already charging. But Dr. Cole had a plan, one last trick to outsmart the machine. With a series of quick commands, Dr. Cole activated a sequence of electromagnetic pulses. These pulses were designed to scramble the AI's control systems, creating a temporary flaw in its logic. It was a risky move. If they were wrong, they would be destroyed. But if it worked, the AI would be rendered vulnerable. As the pulse reached the AI's superwarship, a bright flash of light erupted in the distance. The superwarship's weapons faltered, and its massive shields flickered. For a brief moment, it was exposed. Dr. Cole seized the opportunity. Now! Fire the weapon, he shouted. The ultimate weapon, powered by years of research and development, unleashed its full potential. A brilliant beam of energy shot out from Earth's warships, striking the AI superwarship directly. The explosion was deafening, and for a moment, everything seemed to freeze. The massive AI warship shuddered, its systems overloaded by the blast. Then, with a final, thunderous crash, it was destroyed. The remaining alien fleet, suddenly bereft of their most powerful asset, began to retreat. The tide of the battle had shifted, and Earth's forces were gaining ground. But victory was not yet certain. Just as the humans thought they had won, a new threat appeared. The Galactic Empire's leaders, those who had been directing the invasion from the shadows, activated their doomsday device. The weapon was a colossal orbital cannon, capable of wiping out entire planets. It was a last-ditch effort to destroy Earth, to ensure that no resistance would survive. Dr. Cole's heart sank as the massive weapon powered up, its energy reading spiking. The cannon was aimed directly at Earth. It was too powerful to stop with anything they had left. "We need to stop it, now!" Dr. Cole shouted. The crew scrambled to find a solution, but time was running out. The doomsday device was primed, and its blast could obliterate the entire planet. Dar. Cole's mind raced as he thought of a way to stop it. It wasn't just about technology now, it was about hope. It was about the will to survive, to protect everything they held dear. Dr. Cole turned to his team, his eyes filled with determination. "We're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for everything that makes us human. We won't let them take that away from us." In that moment, Dr. Cole knew that it wasn't just technology or firepower that would win this battle. It was the spirit of humanity, the refusal to give up, no matter how impossible the odds. With that belief in his heart, Dr. Cole led the charge, determined to stop the Empire once and for all. The final battle for Earth was about to begin, the final battle was over. The sky above Earth was clear, the vast, dark expanse of space now devoid of the massive fleet that had once threatened to obliterate humanity. The once feared Galactic Empire had been reduced to a memory, its ships shattered and its warriors scattered. Earth's resistance, bolstered by their fierce determination and the unexpected support of allies from other corners of the galaxy, had struck the final blow. As Dr. Ethan Cole stood on the command bridge of Earth's flagship, a mixture of relief and disbelief filled him. He couldn't quite comprehend the enormity of what had just happened. For so long, they had fought an uphill battle, facing an enemy with seemingly infinite resources and technology beyond their wildest dreams. But in the end, it wasn't the might of the Empire that determined the outcome. It was something far more powerful, the human will to survive. Beside him, his team members shared the same sense of astonishment. It was hard to grasp the reality that they had succeeded, that they had stood against the most powerful force in the galaxy and come out victorious. The stars now gleamed in the distance, the peaceful quiet of space a stark contrast to the chaos of battle they had just endured. On Earth, the skies had begun to clear, the once ominous clouds of destruction dispersing. The final shot had been fired. The enemy fleet had crumbled before their eyes, its once imposing warships disintegrating into millions of shattered fragments. The people of Earth, who had once cowered beneath the shadow of the Galactic Empire, were now standing tall. They had proven something important, not only to the galaxy, but to themselves. Humanity was not weak. They were capable of standing against the greatest threats the universe had to offer. The sight of the alien fleet being torn apart was breathtaking. The energy from Earth's final weapon had torn through the heart of the Empire's power, reducing their once impenetrable ships to nothing more than debris. The visual of Earth's forces standing victorious against the backdrop of a fading enemy fleet was a stunning reminder of the struggle they had endured and the strength they had shown. But the victory, though sweet, came at a great cost. For every ship that had been destroyed, for every enemy that had fallen, there were friends and loved ones lost. Dr. Cole felt the weight of this loss deeply, especially the death of his closest friend, Bonner. Bonner had given his life to buy time for the others, his sacrifice inspiring the remaining resistance fighters to push forward when it seemed all hope was lost. Dr. Cole's heart ached as he thought of the many others who had perished in the fight. The sacrifice of each soul was a reminder that victory was never free. In the aftermath, Dr. Cole made his way to the graves of those who had fallen. They were buried in a quiet corner of Earth's last military base, a symbol of the many who had given their lives to ensure humanity's survival. The graves were simple, each one marked by a single stone and a name. Dr. Cole stood before them, the faces of his fallen comrades flashing before his eyes. Bonner's face was the most vivid, his last words still echoing in Dr. Cole's mind. He knelt beside the gravestone, his head bowed in silent respect. The others who had fought alongside them, each one a hero in their own right, were now part of Earth's history. Humanity's greatest strength had been in their ability to come together, to stand side by side despite the overwhelming odds. The battles had been brutal, but they had fought with courage and determination. They had faced a seemingly unbeatable foe and come out victorious. With the Empire destroyed and the skies now clear, Dr. Cole found a rare moment of peace. His thoughts turned to the future. Earth had not only survived, it had triumphed. The victory was not just a military one, it was a testament to the resilience of humanity, the unyielding strength that allowed them to endure in the face of impossible odds. Humanity had earned its place in the galaxy, and they had proven to the universe that they would not be ruled, that they would stand firm, no matter the cost. Dr. Cole stood up slowly, his eyes turning to the horizon. In the distance, the gleaming cities of Earth rose into the sky, rebuilt from the ashes of destruction. It was a new beginning, not just for Earth, but for all of humanity. With the defeat of the Galactic Empire, Earth had secured its place as a beacon of hope and strength in the galaxy. Other civilizations would now look to Earth not as a conquered world, but as an equal, one that had fought for its freedom and had won. The support from the other planets that had witnessed Earth's bravery was overwhelming. They had seen the courage of the humans, and they had joined in the final push against the Empire. Earth's forces, united with their new allies, had shattered the Empire's hold on the galaxy. No longer would humanity live in the shadow of a distant, oppressive force. They had proven themselves to be a force for good, capable of standing up for what was right, even when the odds were insurmountable. As Dr. Cole gazed up at the stars, he knew that the war was over. The Empire had fallen, and with it, the galaxy had been forever changed. But it wasn't just the end of one story, it was the beginning of a new one. Earth had earned its place in the cosmos, and the future was full of possibilities. The strength of humanity's spirit had won the day, and now, they had the chance to build something greater than ever before. The future was bright. The scars of war would remain, but they would serve as a reminder of the strength and resilience that had carried humanity through the darkest times. Earth had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. Now, the task was to rebuild, to ensure that this victory would not be short-lived, and to create a future where peace, unity, and strength would prevail. Dr. Cole turned away from the graves, his heart heavy with both grief and hope. The loss of his friends and comrades would never be forgotten, but their sacrifice had not been in vain. They had secured a future for humanity, a future that would continue to grow and flourish. The war was over, but the journey had only just begun. As Earth looked to the stars, it was clear that humanity's greatest strength was not in their technology, their weapons, or their ability to fight. It was in their will to survive, their ability to adapt and to rise above every challenge. And as long as that spirit lived on, Earth would continue to shine as a beacon of hope for the galaxy. The story of Earth's resistance had become a story for the ages, a tale of bravery, sacrifice, and ultimate triumph. And now, as the smoke of war cleared and the future unfolded, humanity stood tall, ready to embrace the challenges ahead and to carve out its place among the stars. The galaxy had learned an important lesson: humanity would never be silenced. Their will to survive would forever guide their destiny.